Welcome, Pewter Report readers and listeners, to another edition of the Pewter Report podcast, energized by Celsius. I am John Ledyard from pewterreport.com. Along with me for this very special edition of the Pewter Report podcast is my boss, the one and only, the man, the myth, the legend, Scott Reynolds. Ladies and gentlemen, today is going to be Bucs 2021 NFL schedule release day in just about 14 minutes. Scott, I can't wait to find out who they're going to play this year and when they're going to play. We haven't seen any leaks at all day. We are so in the dark.
Right. Yeah, we got about half the schedule. It looks like Dallas week 1. I mean, that's been confirmed, right? That's Thursday night football. Yep. And that's going to be on September 9th at 8:20 p.m. Eastern time. Then week 2 is a bit of a mystery so far. We haven't seen any leaks about that. But weeks 3 and 4 look to be a very challenging end to September and into October here, as you look at back-to-back games at the LA Rams and then at New England. And that's at Sunday Night Football, 8:20 p.m. Then we don't know about week 5 yet. Week 6 has been rumored to be Thursday Night Football again at Philadelphia on 8:20 p.m.
Thursday Night Football.
Yeah.
I know one's to open the season, so it doesn't really count, but
exactly. Then we're looking at a home game against Chicago in week 7, and then New Orleans is going to be on Halloween at New Orleans, 4:25 start. Then we're not sure about week 9 yet. Week 10, we're pretty sure it's at Washington. Week 11, that's Monday Night Football again at home, facing the New York Giants. The Bucs played a close one up in New York on Monday Night Football last year against the Giants. This time it's Monday Night Football at home. Weeks 12 and 13 are also mysteries, but then the Buffalo Bills will come to Tampa week 14 along with Bills Mafia. Boy, it's going to be cold up there and warm down here, so I would expect to see a lot of Bills fans. And then week 15, Sunday Night Football again. The Bucs get a mulligan. They get a do-over against the Saints. And that's at 8:20 p.m. Week 16, not sure about that. Week 17 will be a home game against the Jets. And then week 18 will be Carolina. Just not sure if it's going to be a home or away game yet. So we're looking at about 6 blanks right now on the schedule. We'll have those filled in as soon as the Bucs release that in a couple minutes.
It's funny that these random games get leaked and not. I never pursue schedule release. I've never done it in my life. Never looked for a leak. Never tried to talk to a source, give me a game ahead of time. Honestly, when I wasn't covering a team, it was the most overrated day of the year to me. Now I'm actually totally pumped. Obviously we know most of the games, and I've actually barely looked today because I'm just I just want to find out then. So
I agree with Tom, Bucs fan, not confirmed, but bye week is likely week 5. And I told you that, John, in the PR group chat. And the reason for that is again, week 3 at the LA Rams, week 4 at New England on Sunday Night Football. I don't think that the league would make it so you've got a West Coast away game and then a Northeast away game on a Sunday night, and then play week 5, and then you're having a short week at Philadelphia, and then you go from that you have 10 days.
What about
to
week
play
9?
The Bears?
Is week 9 still a possibility?
Week 9 is still a possibility.
That was my prediction last night on Locker Room with Josh Allen. You and I were talking, and I said week 9. That's when I was total gas. But
I would prefer week 9, just like Jack Barrett. Weeks 12 and 13 are available. Jordan, you are exactly correct. But I think it's going to be week 5, just because of what that positioning is. Again, you're looking at an away game against the Rams on the West Coast, an away game on Sunday night at New England, and then you would essentially have a short week for a week 5 game. Then you'd have an even shorter week for the Philadelphia game on Thursday Night Football. So it just seems to me that usually, I think what the league's trying to do is have a bye week either before or after that Thursday night game for rest. So I think it's going to be earlier this year. It was week 12 last year.
Okay. All right. Well, you've been doing this a lot longer than me, Scott. And so if you say it's going to be week 5, I believe you that it'll be week 5. I was hopeful that the Super Bowl champs could get a nice little mid-season.
It would be nice.
Week 5.
But you know what, John? It was week 12 last year. It served this team incredibly well.
Yeah. Middle and late, I'm fine with. Early, I don't like early, man.
Yeah.
I don't like early. So I hope week 5 would be right after the Patriots, by the way.
Yeah.
And the
John,
week before the Patriots play the Bucs, I think the
Hurricane
Patriots play the
Irma
Saints.
rolled into town several years ago, and it forced because it was threatening Florida.
I remember this? Yes.
Yeah, it forced the Bucs and the Bears to have or not the Bears, but it forced the Bucs, right, to have a bye week in week 1.
Right.
And then the Buccaneers played 16 straight games of football after that. That's
brutal. Yeah, that is not cool at all. That happens. We'll be petitioning. The Bucs will be petitioning the league office, but that's not going to happen.
Yep.
We hope. And
I
just can't wait to see kind of when it's all going to stack up as we look at each individual matchup. It's going to be interesting to see the timeline of events that come. Even the Brady thing being early in the season, the Brady return to New England being early in the season. That to me, I'm just thinking of reasoning for the league. I'm like, okay, well, they want to make sure, not that anything happened to Brady, God forbid, but like they don't want it to be late in the season in case Brady got hurt or something like that and missed that game. Or
in case the Patriots are not competitive again, right? They want it to be a competitive game. So,
good point.
But I'll say this: you go back a couple years ago when the Buccaneers did have that week 1 bye week because of Hurricane Irma with 16 straight weeks of football. I know Gatorade is the preferred sideline beverage of the NFL. But, man, you would think that they could have used some Celsius back then. Right, John?
Sparkling watermelon again. That's what we're going with today, Scott. I'm telling you, man. I needed this one today. I needed this little kick, and I love it. Celsius, the way that it powers active lives every day with essential functional energy, healthy energy, without the sugar, without the crash. It's a cheat code. It's like this Bucs roster. It's a little bit of a cheat code, it feels like.
That is so well said, my friend. And listen, you don't fully understand the power of Celsius until you don't have one. And I was going okay today. I was going fine up until around 1 o'clock, and I usually have my Celsius around 1, and I said, you know what, I'm gonna go grab it. I was busy today. Had a very busy Wednesday, as the schedule release is set to come out in probably less than 10 minutes, and I just all of a sudden it turned into 3 o'clock, and I said, well, it's probably too late for me because it does work so well. It keeps me up if I have it after 3. But, man, I'm dragging right now at 7:30, and I should have had this bad boy a lot earlier. So
this is your 26th schedule release, Scott.
Yeah,
right?
I can talk about the benefits of Celsius when I drink it. I'm like, hey, I'm full of energy. Well, I tell you what, folks, when you don't have it, you miss it. So make sure that you drink your Celsius. Now, where do you find it? Well, go to Celsius.com, click on the store locator, type in your address, and then you'll find out all these different stores will pop up: convenience stores, big box stores, chain stores, as well as health and fitness stores. And then you can taste the tasty flavors and find out which one is best for your palate.
Yep, absolutely. Out there, no question about it, Scott. And Michael Kiss saying he wishes he had a peach vibe Celsius right now.
At least I got my Celsius.
I might have a few of those laying around the house, Michael Kiss. I might be able to run those over to your house. Might have a few peach vibes. I'll check for you. I see that subliminal message you're trying to send me by posting that for sure. No, I think, Scott, when I looked at the schedule today, the biggest takeaway for me, and I wrote about this actually this morning over at pewterreport.com, I just kind of wrote about how, man, this right now, the way that you look at this schedule, especially week 1, you think, okay, the Bucs, you talk about being able to get off to a fast start. I'm not saying that they will. I'm just saying that as good as Dallas is offensively, man, that defense, Scott, how in the world? How do they keep pace with, how? It's literally going to be on one side, Tom Brady, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Antonio Brown, Rob Gronkowski, O.J. Howard, Scotty Miller, Giovanni Bernard, Lombardi Lenny against, this is no joke, Trevon Diggs and maybe Kelvin Joseph and Reggie Robinson's moving to safety, Con O'Neal's moving to linebacker, Demonte KZ is played kind of all over. He's coming in. He's going to be a safety. I mean, on paper, it's just such a huge mismatch. Dallas was lost defensively last year. Dan Quinn will be better, but Brady has torched Dan Quinn. I know for parts of 2 Super Bowls, they kept Brady in check a little bit, but when it mattered, he torched Quinn last year in 2 games. They torched Quinn. It just is. It doesn't feel like Dallas is kind of in position to, I'm not going to say win the game because they can compete. That offense, you get a couple breaks. The Bucs get sloppy, like that can always happen. I rarely will rule that out. But on paper, this is just a great matchup to me for Tampa Bay's offense to get off to a hot start.
Yeah, and not just that, but you're looking at that guy right there, Dak Prescott, coming back, and after missing so much time, obviously you have the preseason and training camp to get back into the swing of things. But you're right, John, with Dan Quinn's defense not doing well in Atlanta against Tom Brady and the Bucs last year, and they knew the defense, I wonder how all of these new pieces, and it seems like the Cowboys are flush at linebacker right after the draft, but maybe not in other positions. And again, you're talking about moving Keanu Neal to linebacker. Okay, well, didn't they just draft 2 linebackers?
Yeah.
And they have 2 linebackers that are already starters from last year.
I mean, they have like 15 linebackers, no corners that are proven. Right. I know they hope Diggs and Joseph will be those guys, but it's a long way to go right now. Even though Diggs, they loved him as a rookie and he got a couple picks, and I know they were excited, but he got toasted a ton too, man. I mean, he got toasted a lot last year. So
you're right.
I can't see it being pretty.
It's really going to have to be just a shootout, right? It's going to have to be Dallas's wide receivers really stepping up and putting some points on the board. It's going to be after one of those games where Dak Prescott started the season throwing for like 400 yards a game, it seemed, right? I mean, he was on a tear. And I think that's the type of offensive output that Dallas is going to have to be able to match what Tampa Bay is going to do. And then I just don't think Dallas's defense is going to have an answer for stopping Tom Brady in this offense.
That's going to be the thing. What does Tampa Bay defense look like? I think that'll be a big storyline because they weren't playing that well, honestly, toward the end of the year. And then the script really flipped going to the playoffs, and it became just such a totally different story, man. I mean, they played so well in the playoffs and were such a pivotal reason why that team won the Super Bowl.
Yep.
Then you kind of now this season, what do you expect? Because there's really no changes in terms of personnel, and we didn't get the offense. It was kind of always they can get out of their own way, they're going to just destroy people, and that was kind of always the theme. Almost every game last year, with very few exceptions, the second Saints game maybe where they were banged up, parts of the Rams game where they were actually like literally outplayed. I felt like but most of the time it was just them beating themselves when they had that struggle. So you always kind of felt like they were going to figure it out offensively. Way more talent on that side of the ball, way more proven talent. Defensively, we felt like last year there was a lot of ups and downs, and throughout the year, second half of the season was more downs than ups for the defense a lot. And then the playoffs was so good, it honestly made us forget about that some, and I was happy to do so. But now we look and we have a coming clean slate, and we say, all right, well, if this defense plays like it did in the playoffs, that's when we start talking about some crazy records, Scott. That's when we start talking about like finishing 16-1. What is it? 17 games now? 16, something like that. Like that's when you start to, but that has to me, the offense, if Brady doesn't decline, I don't know how that group, I mean, they were doing things, and they were barely throwing play action passes, and they're still putting up points.
Yeah.
Like, they're still leading the league in those areas.
As Jake Arians said on our Monday podcast, and Buck fans, if you haven't had a chance to watch that or listen to that podcast that Mark Cook and I did with Jake Arians on Monday's Pewter Report podcast, go do it. It's fantastic. Great insight. This is the son of Bruce Arians. He's dialed in. And one of the things that he was talking about was just that, was having the Bucs not even play their best, game of the year really until the Super Bowl. So,
yep. And the schedule is getting dropped now, it looks like. I saw a video go out from Buccaneers.com. Yep. Week 9 bye week, somebody said. That would be clutch if that's.
There we go.
That's true. I haven't seen it yet, but.
Yeah, we should be getting the schedule here from the Buccaneers anytime.
Yeah, and that's, I think, what they say. They're dropping a video here. Is Gronk reading the schedule? Oh, no. Can we count on it? Is it reliable? Week 9 bye. A bunch of people are saying now, I'm psyched. Let's go, Scott.
Yep.
Week
Well,
9
I'll tell you
bye.
what, I'm going to dip out real quick. I'm going to bring Mark Cook in, and I'm going to update the schedule, and then we're going to.
You dip out. I'll bring Mark in.
Yep, that sounds good.
Here we go. The legend himself, Mark Cook, here to talk about this Bucs schedule. Week 9 bye week, Mark. How are you feeling about week 9 over week 5?
I love it. I love it. When I
too.
saw week 5 as a rumor, I thought this is awful. John, last year, Scott may have talked about this and I might have missed the beginning of it, but last year, that late bye week, we all kind of cringed and said this is awful. Now, it turned out to be a blessing in disguise because this team really needed that week off, and it really got them energized, got them focused, and they went down the stretch, obviously, and we saw what they did. They just didn't lose again. But week 9, much better than week 5, in my opinion. The Buccaneers schedule maker, or the NFL schedule makers, have not been kind to the Buccaneers over the years when it comes to the bye weeks. And even the schedule itself a few years ago when they had them, going across the country and then going across the ocean. I mean, it was just a ridiculous stretch of games. But if this pans out week 9, if that's the case, that's going to be terrific for this football team. I think that comes really at the perfect time.
Right. Oh, no, I agree. I mean, to me, that's a lot better than getting into week 5. I mean, obviously you never know how things are going to, they're going to unfold, but I mean, okay. So we've got, let's just read. I'm just going to read the schedule for everybody. I know some of this we already know, so bear with me as I tell you some information you've probably heard before. But week 9 is going to be against Dallas, obviously, as we know, at home. And then week 2 against Atlanta, week 3. So that was, I think week 2 is a question mark, Scott said. Week 3 is going to be the Rams. So not too easy ones to start the season. Lots of good offenses to start the season. 3 premier quarterbacks to start the season. Week 4, you travel to New England. Week 5 against Miami. Week 6 against Philadelphia. Those are, that Philadelphia one's one you got to win. Week 7, Chicago. Week 8, New Orleans. Then you've got the week 9 bye. Week 10 against Washington. Week 11 against the Giants. Week 12 is against the Colts. Week 13 will be Atlanta again. Week 14.
Wait.
Buffalo.
Did you say week 12 against the Colts? I thought that was the automatic 17th game.
No, it's the 17th game, but not the week 17 game.
All right. Okay.
Yeah, it's the extra game, but
apologies.
It's all those are all going to be mixed in different weeks.
Okay.
Week 13 will be the second Atlanta game. Then week 14 against Buffalo. Week 15 against the Saints. Week 16 against the Panthers. Week 17 the Jets, and week 18 the Panthers again. So
really, the only major cold weather game, right? If I'm just listening off of what you said, is that Jets game potential, as a really cold, because that's going to be late December.
I wish they said. They don't say on this one which ones are home and away. I don't remember off the top of my head.
Wait, yeah, I think they traveled to New York this year. I think
you're right. I'm pretty sure you're right.
Yeah,
but you're right. That's about it.
Yeah, that's sounds good. Does what you're reading, John? Does it have the primetime games, or is it just the teams right now?
Yeah. Okay. Let's see this.
We know week 1 is primetime.
Week 1 is primetime. Yes. Week 4 against New England will be Sunday Night Football.
Great.
Looks like week 6 against Philadelphia. Week 6 against Philadelphia is going to be a night game. And then is that Thursday Night Football? That is Thursday Night Football. Week 6. And then week 11 against the Giants is going to be Monday Night Football.
Good. That's all.
And then week 15 against the Saints will be Sunday Night Football. So is that 5 primetime games?
Yeah, that's 5.
So I think the most you can, 5 nationally televised evening games.
Yeah. Well, that's good. I mean, it means we're going to be up really, really late. John, I laugh because my dad, he always, and I probably said this to you before, but my dad always introduced me as this guy gets paid to watch football. Well, yes, a little bit. But what I actually get paid to do is write about football after we watch football. So while my dad is asleep at midnight, we're down in a locker room waiting on a coach or a press conference. And then we go back up, and then we write, and then we do podcasts. So a little bit of a misnomer, but nobody's complaining. It's a hell of a gig.
Right. Yeah, there's no question about it, but you're right. Some of those nights are late nights by the time we get out of there. There's no doubt. And then Mondays are early morning, so we're catching up on Monday nights on sleep typically. But yeah, we've got a couple 4:00 games. Week 2 against Atlanta is a 4:05 kick. 4:25 week 7 against Chicago. Week 3 actually against the Rams. Excuse me, I missed that one. Is a 4:25 game. So the Bucs don't play on a 1 o'clock game until Week 5 against Miami. The full first month of the season. It's night game Week 1, Week 2 4:05, Week 3 4:25, and Week 4 it's a night game again on Sunday Night Football. So first 1 o'clock kick is against Miami, and that's the only 1 o'clock kick over the first 9 weeks of the season. Mark.
Now let's look at this schedule again, and let's look at the nationally televised games at home versus on the road. We've got 5. We know Dallas is at home. Mm-hmm. We know what were the other nationally televised games? I didn't write them down, but let's see.
Okay, so the nationally televised games are the ones that will be at home will be Dallas, the Giants, and the Saints on Sunday Night Football as well. Those will all be home ones. And then the road ones will be New England and Philadelphia on Thursday Night Football for the Philly game. So those will be the 2 road. So 3 night games at home. New
Orleans game, I'm just going to say from just an early indication, traveling to the Rams and traveling to New Orleans in a night game, if it's a full Superdome, are the 2 games just off the top of my head that probably present the biggest challenge. I mean, you could say Buffalo, but you don't know how they're going to be. They're going to come down a little bit. Were they overachieving last year? I don't think so. But I said this a while back, and I'm going to be writing about it in my hook tomorrow. I'm going to be looking at how many games the Buccaneers are going to be favored. Now, again, I'm not the odds makers, and I'm going to look and see if early odds come out. But I'm going to say, I mean, John, would you say any of these games definitively we can say the Buccaneers would be underdogs in? Again, that's before injuries and all of those things. I'm talking about today. If odds makers were going to put odds, who and which of those games, besides potentially the Rams on the road, would you think that the Buccaneers could even be an underdog in?
I agree with you. I don't think that they're an underdog in any of these games. I mean, obviously something changes as somebody gets hurt or something like that. But
Tom Brady goes
Buffalo's
down week
the
1.
only one. But Buffalo, I'm looking at this and I'm just looking where
that's a home game. That's a home game.
That's the only one that could be, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But even then, I don't think it's going to happen. But
you don't think the Rams on the road, that one could be
too early in the season
game? Yeah,
that I don't think so. Too early in the season, the Rams lost something defensively. I think Stafford coming in helps a lot. But how do the Rams open their season? Who could they beat to? I don't think so. Maybe if it were later in the year, but again, I look at this slate and I say no way. Look at quarterbacks are the biggest indicator, right? So right off the bat, you're going to face some good ones: Dak Prescott, Matt Ryan, and Matt Stafford. Then you go to New England. We'll see who's a quarterback for New England. Week 5, a lot to learn about Tua still. Week 6, a lot to learn about Jalen Hurts still. Week 7, who's going to be Chicago's quarterback? We don't know. Week 8, who's going to be the Saints quarterback? We don't know, especially by week 8. It doesn't even matter who starts the season. You hope for ratings' sake, I'm sure they hope Jameis is still hanging in there if he does win the job. Week 10, Washington, it's going to be Fitzpatrick. You think at that point he still has a job. We'll see what Taylor Heineke can do. Week 11, Daniel Jones. Week 12, Carson Wentz. Can he rebound? Week 13, Matt Ryan again. Week 14, then you have Josh Allen. It's like a huge jump back up from where, to the week 3 caliber quarterbacks. Then again, you got Saints and twice against the Panthers, and then the Jets if Zach Wilson starting there still in week 17. If he's starting by that point. So you have a ton of quarterback question marks. Lots of really good teams, in my opinion, on the Bucs schedule, but lots of quarterback question marks.
And I think that New England game, being week 4 helps the Buccaneers. Certainly if they end up starting Mac Jones. Mac Jones will be a better quarterback in week 15 than he's probably going to be in week 4. And plus that's going to be a completely rebuilt defense. But going on the road, on a nationally televised game against Bill Belichick it's going to be a tough game, regardless of who starts at quarterback. But I don't think there's any way that the Buccaneers aren't favorites in that game. Demetrius M says, Mark, stop talking about the GOAT getting hurt. You're going to jinx us. Okay, no more. I'm not going to bring that up again.
Is that you or was that me? That might have been.
Well, I said when you said in case something happens crazy, they'll be favored in all the games. I said, like Tom Brady going down in week 1. Yeah, I think I might have accidentally said that. But
all right, so
I'm not going to say
there's the schedule. Look at Scott Reynolds.
Graphic
man extraordinaire.
Quickly. And I'm pretty sure this is accurate. Pretty sure I was able to get him off accurately. So, but what it looks like is you got a tough stretch. I think we talked about it at the top of the show, John, with the Rams and New England back to back, and then you've got really kind of a short week there because you're not getting back from New England until early Monday morning, right?
Yeah.
And then you've got a Sunday home game. Then you've got a really quick turnaround with Philadelphia, and there's no bye week until week 9. John, you got your wish. You got the bye week at number 9, but I tell you, the Buccaneers might want that bye week after that Philly game instead, because you're going to have a road weary team with those 3 trips to LA, New England, and then a short week with Philadelphia. And the bye week, I think they're going to be ready for that in week 9. And then really you come out of the bye week and you go to Washington. Then you've got the Monday night football game against the Giants at home, and then back-to-back games, Indy and Philly, back-to-back home games, Buffalo, New Orleans, back-to-back away games, Carolina and the Jets. And that Jets game is going to be cold weather. There's no doubt about it.
Right. That's really the only one. I mean, yeah, Indy's always cold. Having been there many times, that place the wind never stops to that place in week 12. That'll be all right.
Yeah, but they're inside.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So that's not even a big deal. So yeah,
I'm looking at the Buccaneers official release, Scott, just double checking your schedule. I think so far everything pans out exactly right.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, to me, the biggest thing about this schedule, I think there's very few teams in the NFL. I'm like, wow, you're not even good. I feel like Philadelphia is one you got to win with where they're at right now as a roster.
Yeah.
Like that one, there's some that like you can't lose this game. Like, those kind of games. There's certainly a couple of those, but even the Giants, Washington, all these teams, Indianapolis has some question marks, but the biggest thing is quarterbacks, right? They don't face that many high caliber quarterbacks. Start the season, sure.
Right.
But you're after those first 3 games, we'll see how some of the rookies adjust. If they get Justin Fields, if they get Zach Wilson, we'll see what that
is. It going to be Cam Newton or Mac Jones by week 4, fellas?
We don't even know that. We don't know New Orleans situation, what's going to happen there really. We think Jameis will win the job, but we don't know. It's like really those first 3, and then you've got 13 and 14. You've got Matt Ryan and Josh Allen. But to me, that's kind of the biggest takeaway of the schedule when you talk about the difficulty of it. Yeah. I definitely think there's games you can lose in here that are tough, but I think quarterback play is typically the biggest indicator there, and the Bucs just have the clear-cut massive advantage in almost all of these games there.
Right.
Scott, you've got Philadelphia on week 6. Again, by the way, all of it matches up exactly with what the Buccaneers said. The Amazon Thursday night football game. For people wondering about that, Amazon is going to take that over and be exclusive, but not this year. That starts in 2023. It will be simulcast on Amazon as well.
No, no. Amazon is actually moving up. They're doing it this year.
Are they?
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Wow. All right, Amazon.
You better start getting your Amazon Prime ready if you're not going to Philly to be able to watch that game.
I will say this. Supposedly in local markets, they will have a local television channel.
Yeah, 32 MOR usually does that. Yeah,
correct.
Simulcast it for regular television. Well, that's good.
Yep.
So 3 home games for them in prime time and 2 away games in prime time. We haven't talked about this a lot, guys. I don't know that it matters now because they won in big stages that were obviously prime time in the playoffs. They won 4 of those games, but this is not a team that played well in prime time all of last year. Is there any thought process for you, at least, Scott? Like, does that go through your mind at all still with this team, or do you feel like the Super Bowl that kind of went out the window after the playoff run? I still kind of think it could be a thing, even in week 1, where they could start kind of slow. Week 1, everything's weird, man. I mean,
yeah. But, I mean, I would say this to me, and listen, Jack Barrett does make a good point in terms of the bye week. You do have a little bit of a cushion there because after that you do have 10 days, right? Mm-hmm. You got Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, all the way until next Sunday against Chicago. So I do get that. That's a little bit of a mini bye, but boy, on the front end of that, that's a lot of football from the Rams game to the Philly game, and you're talking 3 road trips. And then the Dolphins home game sandwiched in between. So I get that.
I love Jack saying 10 days off in a game where the starters are sitting at the start of the 4th. You hope. I mean, that's definitely what you hope against.
Yes, and you know what? I think that might be a thing. Bruce Arians. Listen, there were times last year. Remember in the Saints game, right? I mean, the Saints are shellacking the Buccaneers 38-3. And Brady was getting sacked aplenty in that game, throwing interceptions. It was just an awful game all the way around. And I think I asked Bruce Arians, who was very testy after the game, and I said, what was Brady doing? And he's like, he's our starting quarterback. He's he's playing the game. I'm like, all right, well, you were losing that game at halftime. I mean, I know you have Tom Brady, but this was not against the Falcons. It was not the Super Bowl, and you guys were the Buccaneers at that time, still feeling your way through this thing, not the New England Patriots. Mm-hmm. So I get what he's saying, but I wonder, with 17 games now, if the Buccaneers do really run it up, if he does what he did against Detroit, which is where you rest some of the starters a little bit earlier. And I think that really
he did that against Green Bay as well. Remember, Blaine Gabbert came in that game.
That's true. Yes. Yeah. Yes. Made me very happy.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm sure it did. I'm sure it did. I'll tell you who's going to be really hot, and we're going to have him on here shortly. Matt Matera is going to get to spend New Year's in New York. He's going to be able to watch the ball drop in Times Square, man. That's like December, January 1st or 2nd, something like that. I've always wanted to go to New York, guys, but don't think I want to go to New York right now, and I don't think I want to go when it's sub-freezing temperatures. So we'll
regular season games in January is going to take some. It's weird, man. I hate this. I hate the 17 thing. I mean, I like more football. It's going to mess up our history. It's going to mess up our stats. It's going to drive me crazy.
Oh, it's going to drive me crazy. I think you're going to see more 2,000-yard rushers. I think you might have a 2,000-yard receiver.
And you have to put an asterisk next to all of them.
That 5,000-yard, only 8 quarterback thing of Jameis, that's going to fall.
Yeah.
There'll be a couple of those this year, including potentially another one here in Tampa Bay.
Yeah. And listen, Alien Mastodon, who's always in the chat, we appreciate that, brings up a great point. Stay healthy, Bucs. Listen to Jake Arians. That's right, because at the end of the day, Tampa Bay has been in 2 Super Bowls. The common denominator for those 2 Super Bowls was pretty much a healthy Buccaneer football team. I mean, the Buccaneers had one starter, on injured reserve back in 2002. Mark, remember Booger McFarland, right? It was the Chuck and Buck show. And if you're going to take one piece out of that Bucs defense, and that Monty Kiffin defense, it's either the Sam linebacker or the nose tackle, just based upon the importance of the position. Those were lower in the totem pole.
And both of those wins, the Buccaneers were able to take advantage of a depleted offensive line. Remember
Barrett Robbins, the center went
out. AWOL.
Right.
He went AWOL, just disappeared, right? And so, that completely threw things off. And then, of course, having the Chiefs. And look, you're right. Staying healthy is the key. The healthiest teams tend to be the ones standing towards the end. Yeah. The Chiefs were 14-2 in the regular season last year, 14-2. But they got key injuries at the wrong time. Right. And the Buccaneers took advantage of that.
The Bucs got Vita Vea back at the right time. Right. And really, Alex Kappa was the only injured starter. Yeah. On both sides of the ball. Yep. In the Super Bowl. That's crazy to think about, but it's true. And you know what? That's exactly what happened is one starter was missing from the 2002 Super Bowl team. And if you want to count O.J. Howard as a semi-starter on offense, that's fine too. But you're looking at really O.J. Howard, and you're looking at Alex Kappa as the only starters.
There's something to be said for the TB12 method, man. And we know this is crazy, Scott. And Scott, I don't know if we've even told John this. When we were at the Bruce Arians thing, Christine, Jake's mom and Bruce's wife, had recently had knee surgery. And I jokingly said to Bruce, do you got the TB12? And he says, absolutely. Tom's trainer had been working with her. Yeah, and we know Mike Evans. And Mike Evans also had Tom, getting him over his injury situation there when he suffered that injury in the last regular season game, but was able to play. So
we've got the preseason games here too, and I think we're going to step Mark out and bring Matt in here to get his thoughts specifically on the Jets Week 17 matchup, because that's the one that he has. Well, let's go to these preseason games really quick. It is 3 AFC opponents. It is the Cincinnati Bengals at home on August 14th. It is the Tennessee Titans at home on August 21st. Season games to Houston to play the Texans on August 28th. So they get 3 AFC foes to tune up against. I was hoping the Pittsburgh Steelers, man. They had that. That was preseason week 1 last year, Scott. Then COVID hit, and it was supposed to be it was going to be great. It was good. My first game covering the Bucs was going to be against the Steelers.
I think they played them the year before too.
I think you're right. I think they might have. Yeah. So I was hopeful that they'd run that one back, but instead it's going to be the Bengals and Titans at home, and then it's going to be the Texans on the road for the preseason slate for the Bucs. Matt Matero, what do you think? At the Jets, Week 17, man, how you feeling about it?
I'm excited about it. I would have liked the Bucs to play the Jets much earlier in the season to take advantage of playing against a rookie quarterback. I mean, by that time of the year, you would think if you're supporting the Jets, you would hope that he's progressed to that point where he's upgraded in his game. But you guys have talked a lot about, there's a lot of quarterbacks that they're playing against. Obviously, guys like Josh Allen and Matt Ryan, they're legit. But there's a lot of uncertainty about the quarterbacks that the Bucs are going to play. I think a big thing with the uncertainty is that a lot of these guys don't have experience either playing in the NFL or playing with their current team. I mean, right now, and this is not even including Mac Jones, who could be starting when the Bucs go and play the Patriots in Week 4. You have 9 quarterbacks that have had 9 starts or less with their current team. Stafford's obviously on a new team. Jalen Hurts had 4 starts. He's essentially a rookie this year. Justin Fields is a rookie. The Saints, we don't know what's up with that situation, but neither of those quarterbacks have started often with the Saints. Same thing with Washington and the Jets. Zach Wilson's a rookie. The Colts, Carson Wentz, first year with the team. Tua's only had 9 starts. He's the guy that's had the most starts, more than anyone. Right. As far as who the Bucs are facing. And obviously he struggled. He's a big question mark going to this year. And then last but not least, Sam Darnold. So I'm really pumped up to see. We know what's going to happen with the Bucs offense. They're going to be in tune. But I want to see how much the Bucs defense can take the next step. And we knew they were great, but now I want to see them continue on that. Maybe get more sacks than last season. Maybe get a couple more turnovers last season because they're playing against teams that are inexperienced at quarterback. I mean, we saw even Tom Brady had his growing pains with the Bucs last season, and that's why playing the Rams so early, I think, is great for the Bucs.
Yes, I agree. And Dallas, I think, because they're trying to put together this totally new defense. I think them drawing Dallas early in the season is so good for Tampa Bay because I just think Dallas is going to be like trying to put together like all these new pieces. They have so many young guys, and they might have talent, and maybe it comes together. I don't think it's going to come together in Week 1, though. That would be the big shock to me. So again, I think the schedule is laid out really favorably for the Bucs. You said it's got over the years. This has not necessarily been, the league has not necessarily been the kindest to Tampa Bay with the schedule. There's been some things, there's been lots of complaints with things over the years.
Yeah.
I think they might be making up for it this year. It looks pretty favorable.
Not to cut you off again, but 2 years ago, the Bucs didn't have a home game for like over a month because their one home game was over in London.
Right. Yeah. Yep. And it goes, I mean, some of it was out of the, like Scott was mentioning with the hurricane, some of it was kind of out of the league's control, but there is, it has been kind of a consistent theme. I know Trevor's always kind of said to me, like over the years, like, here we go again. Can't wait to see. And right now, I mean, having a Week 9 bye, getting that 10-day break after the Philly game, not having any 3-game roads or anything like that. Like, I mean, I think the way the schedule's laid out pretty favorably, I mean, to me, it makes it, again, not that any of this means anything by the time the season starts. We're just doing what we can to analyze what's in front of us right now, with the obvious disclaimer that there will be information we don't know at this point in time when the year rolls around. But
you're right, John. And one thing we don't know either is how the Buccaneers are going to tackle 3 preseason games instead of 4.
Right. We don't know that. Will Brady play like at all? I mean, part of one game, probably the second game, right? But that,
and it might be a thing where with this rookie quarterback in Kyle Trask, they really want to see what he's got early on, and also playing Blaine Gabbert and maybe save Brady for the 17-game schedule. I like having 3 preseason games because, as you know, Matt,
quicker to the point.
You get right to the start of the season faster. But also, too, how many times have we seen a thunderstorm roll into Tampa and have lightning delays for an hour sometimes? And you're talking about games that start around 7:30 anyways, and don't get over till 11:30. Now you're pushing back a meaningless preseason game for an hour.
The worst is when it's like that. When it's like that Week 4 preseason game when we're already at the point. All right, there's like 5 players on this roster that have a chance of making the team.
Exactly.
And no offense to them, but let's just keep it going. John, it's funny because I think the last time that I was on last week, when the show ended, we were talking a little bit about again, preseason, it is what it is. People just want to fast forward to the regular season. But we're talking about, because this Bucs draft was a draft of luxury and they're picking guys for depth and that can be groomed to be a starter in a year from now, this is going to be kind of an exciting preseason because you're going to get to see Kyle Trask play when he's not going to play in the regular season. Joe Trine is going to get a lot of opportunities where you might not see that in the regular season because Shaq and JPP hate to get off the field. So this is going to be a more entertaining preseason.
Anthony Nelson's finally going to play in a preseason game, right? This guy's this is his third year.
The long-awaited debut.
Yeah.
He could use it. It could be big moments for Anthony Nelson, I think. But you're exactly right, Matt. It'll be, for a team that's as loaded as the Bucs, the preseason takes on a lot of intrigue to me because of the presence of Kyle Trask. If he wasn't here, and you could say what you want about whether he should be or shouldn't be, but if he wasn't here, the preseason would seem very much like, let's get everybody healthy. We know all these guys can play. Everybody's playing. But now I think there's a layer of that with he and Jalen Darden, especially, that's like, okay, let's see. And obviously Tryon as well.
And you know what?
You're going to get to see him in the regular season. Right. Good point. Yeah. Yeah. So there's a trio there of guys who were drafted in those first 4 rounds that you kind of want to see if any of them can be part of something, in the future, because obviously we're being able to replenish all positions is going to be important. So yeah, it is going to add an intrigue to those 3 preseason games, especially because I think they're going to play, especially Trask. I think he's going to play a ton. I mean, I don't know why he wouldn't. I mean, what are you going to do with him if he's going to be your QB3 in the regular season? His chances of seeing the field are pretty slim. So
yeah, exactly.
I'd love to see him get some reps, a lot of reps in the preseason for sure.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Matt Matera, we appreciate you coming on and checking out the schedule with us. And any final thoughts? Any games that stand out to you that we haven't talked about yet?
I just think the opening stretch, those first 5 games are really going to be telling for if the Bucs have a little bit of a Super Bowl hangover, or if they're like, okay, we put the Super Bowl behind us, we're on to go for 2. I think that's going to be a real test, those first 5 games. But the schedule plays out pretty well for the Bucs. I'm expecting them to win the division and make the postseason. So it's all good things here. Bucs are still Super Bowl champs last time I checked.
Right. That's right. And it's still, we have a Victory Monday coming up in just a few days. Another Victory Monday. That's awesome.
Right.
Thank you guys for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you, Matt. Appreciate it. The thing too is when you look at this schedule, John, I don't like to make season predictions yet, right? I don't like to sit there and do that. I like to go through training camp. I like to go through the just the process of the preseason, and to me, I'll reserve whether this team's going to go 11-6, 12-5. It's weird saying those things, right? You should say 12-4 or whatever.
Yeah, so, I know. I'm gonna have to do the math all over again in my head about every time.
Exactly.
That, but no, I look at the slate just at the beginning, Scott, and I think Matt's exactly right. Those first 5 games, and that's going to tell you a lot. I'm not saying it's all easy after that, but it gets easier. But I mean, even New England, forget who's playing quarterback. I mean, Belichick will be so ready for that game. Oh, yeah. There's going to be all the extra stuff.
Brady's going to be ready for that one, too.
Yeah, I just think it's going to be a hard game for everybody.
You know who else is ready for the schedule? Taylor Jenkins, the Grizz.
How we doing?
What's up, Grizz? How are you, man?
There he is.
I'm doing well. I'm excited. John, like you said, sometimes not always the most exciting day. I think coming off of a Super Bowl victory, and you got a lot of really big teams on the schedule. I'm really excited for this one. So excited to talk about the schedule. How are you guys doing?
I'm doing great, man. It's crazy that the Bucs have the 5th easiest strength of schedule, or 4th easiest, or something like that.
Yeah.
But when I look at the schedule, I'm like, man, that to me that just says there's so much parity in the league right now. Like, I don't see a lot of easy games for anybody. Then if they're not there for the Bucs, I really, I think the Bucs are going to win most of these games and finish with a very good record. But it's hard to see a lot of easy ones right now.
Here's my caption for this photo. Bill, you tried to get me some weapons. You failed. I'm heading to Tampa. Oh, and by the way, I'm going to win a Super Bowl, and you're not making the playoffs. So there.
And then I'm going to come back to New England the year later and kick your butt for not giving me those weapons.
Going to kick your ass.
I'm going to show you what weapons look like.
Right.
Then he went out and spent all that money on Jonnu Smith, Nelson Aguilar, and Kendrick Bourne.
Right.
We'll see.
And who was the other? They brought in another tight end. They drafted 2 in the 3rd round.
He's always hurt.
Last year, 2 third-round tight ends the year before. Can't have too many tight ends in that New England offense.
I heard they're re-signing Ben Coates too.
Yeah.
Is that true?
I love it. Edward Fernandez, I'm dying for the season to start already. Let's go. No, I completely agree with Edward. I literally was thinking this today. I was like, man, all this anticipation of what the next game is making me so excited to see this team back out on the field and real football happening again. And can't come soon enough, and we still got a ways to wait. But we got rookie minicamp coming up this weekend. We're going to be there covering the event. That's going to be a blast. And we've got OTAs coming up, and we'll see what happens with those. And we've got minicamp after that. And so, there's going to be some football here for us to be able to break down and analyze.
Scott Federico, great point. Khalil Davis also could use some preseason reps. So it's going to be really interesting to see.
Yeah, don't forget about getting Sue and McClendon preseason reps, man.
There's no way.
Yeah.
There's no way. All right, Grizz. So what are some of your initial thoughts here when you look at this? What jumps out at you? What maybe gives you pause or some reason for concern?
So obviously we had our recent roundtable and we said who should the Bucs open their season against for Week 1.
Who did you pick?
I picked the New Orleans Saints.
Okay.
I think.
Did anybody pick Dallas?
Yeah, somebody did.
Yeah, I think
Matt did.
Matt may have picked Dallas. I think me and Mark
Matt
picked the Saints. You picked the Giants, Scott. But when you look
Bills.
at it, I think the Dallas is a great option as far as ratings go. The Saints, I think, are obviously a huge one. You made a very good point, John, about how Jameis might not even be the starter at that point. That takes a little bit of the luster away from that former, very beloved by many starting quarterback, a very polarizing figure in the Tampa fan base. But you have this big rivalry with the Saints. I think the fans genuinely dislike each other. They dislike the teams. I think that with the Saints kind of running the division and the Bucs coming somewhat out of nowhere in a one-year span and winning a Super Bowl, beating the Saints on the way out, forcing Drew Brees' last career pass to be an interception. There's a lot of fire there.
Boy, what a souvenir, right?
So I think there's a lot of fire there. But I do, as someone mentioned, think that that's a largely regional storyline. I do think there is a lot of intrigue in Jameis. I think there is a lot of intrigue in those two being divisional rivals and being such competitors. But again, Dallas is they're America's team. Yeah. Arguably the biggest fan base in the United States. I know my uncle, lifelong Tampa native, is a massive Dallas Cowboys fan and a massive New York Mets fan. Because growing up here in Tampa,
I think too they're like in the top 5 TV market with Dallas, right?
So when you were growing up here without a team in the Bucs, without a team in the Rays, without a team in the Bolts, you would cheer for the teams that were on TV all the time. Right. And so for my uncle, that was the Cowboys on so many Sunday night football games, Monday night football games. He was watching the Dallas Cowboys and watching them go on and win championships. And one thing I think about that
Warren Sapp was a Dallas Cowboys fan.
Yeah, 100%. If you were from this area, a lot of people were.
And
when you look down.
His brother was a Tampa Bay Buccaneers fan, and Sapp was all pissed off because his brother was super excited. He was becoming a Buccaneer. Sapp was not excited about coming to Tampa because growing up in Plymouth, Florida, which is just next door to Apopka in Central Florida, he did not want to come to Tampa and deal with the lovable losers in Buccaneer orange and cream sickle pants.
And look how that turned out for me. He ended up coming here, being arguably the greatest Buck of all time and winning a ring doing it. But like I said about the Dallas Cowboys having not just a massive regional fan base, but a massive nationwide fan base, you have a lot of teams coming to Tampa this year that are like that. I was talking to some buddies earlier in the season when kind of looking at the Bucs opponent, and I said any team that had any dominant stretch, any dominant decade before you had NFL Sunday Ticket and the option to stream stuff and watch any game at your disposal, they got a huge national fan base because they were on TV all the time. So when you look down their schedule, they obviously open with Dallas. They have a massive fan base. You've got Miami coming to Tampa in Week 5. They had a ton of success in the 70s, still have a huge fan base. You've got the Chicago Bears coming in October. You've got the New York Giants. You got Scott, you've seen Giants games. 1-2 years ago where it seems like, I'm sure a little less so this year, coming off of a Super Bowl, but you've seen situations where the stands are just painted in colors that are not red and pewter, and you're going to have a lot of those teams that would stereotypically bring that massive number. The Buffalo Bills, another team in December. So you've got 4 or 5 teams, I think, that are all coming to Tampa this year that have massive, massive national fan bases.
Right.
I think that's something that's really cool.
That's interesting.
Listen, this is something else that's really cool too. If you've checked out our stories, and Taylor, you just put the schedule story on pewterreport.com, you might see that Mega Seats is the official ticket provider for pewterreport.com.
Yeah.
And so long lost leisure. Anybody check ticket prices for opening night? $600 starting price in the nosebleeds. Crazy numbers. Well, the good news is you can go to megaseats.com and use the promo code Pewter, and you're going to save 10% off of your ticket prices.
Mm-hmm.
And here's the great thing. There's no service fees. So what you see is what you get. At other ticket places, you go ahead and make the purchase, and then you have the ticket prices. Then you go to checkout, and they tack on more service fees. There's no service fees at megaseats.com. So go to megaseats.com, use the promo code Pewter, save 10% off your order today, tomorrow, throughout the whole year. And here's the other thing too. You want to go see Kenny Chesney, you want to go see Foo Fighters, any concerts, any sporting events, go to megaseats.com. Use that same promo code Pewter, not just for Bucs tickets.
Right.
You can use it for any concert anywhere across the country, and you'll save 10% plus no service fees on your tickets.
Love it. It's a great, great deal. Hope people take advantage of that. And man, it would be a huge solid for us if you just sent that to like your contact list, hey,
You're
just
losing
send,
money,
spread
not
the word.
buying
right.
tickets.
Exactly. Like tell all your friends if look, this is a great deal. Take advantage of it because it's awesome stuff with Mega Seats. They're good observations there by you, Taylor. It is going to be awesome to see Raymond James packed out. My hope is that it's Bucs fans. I feel like we're going to learn that this season, right? I mean, I don't begrudge any fan base. You go 18 years without, winning anything, significant. I'm not one of those people to be like, wow, like you gave up on your team. Like I've said for years, I don't understand Browns fans why they put themselves through what they put themselves through every single year. And for those who do it, God love them. But now this is a different story with this team. They've been moving in the right direction for a couple of years. They got the quarterback play they need. This is a football area. Everything you know about this area is football. And so if the Bucs can garner that kind of following now and get everybody back in the seats and get things moving in that direction in this area and get the swell of Tampa Bay fans growing in this area, I don't think this is a market in an area like the LA, with the Chargers and the Rams, and where it's just kind of tapped out. There's so much going on, and you're never going to get more than what's there. And some of these other places that are NBA cities or MLB cities, whatever it might be, I don't think that's Tampa. I think it's a place that wants a football team to cheer for. Now they've got one. And I'm stoked to see what that does. I've already go out. I remember when I first moved here, compared, early December, compared to after they go on the winning streak, win 8 straight and win the Super Bowl. I see it all over the place, man, all over the place now. And I don't even live like 35 minutes from Tampa. So I absolutely love it. And I hope that it continues to kind of take over the area. And it's going to start with the people, honestly, that are watching the show right now, because those are the diehards. It's going to start with them. They've been through the thick and thin, most of them, and then it'll keep bleeding over from there. But I'm excited to see that manifested in itself in home games.
Yeah, and outside of those initial thoughts, I mean, like you guys mentioned earlier, no 8-week stretch away from home, like we saw 2 years ago. As of now, knock on wood, no week 1 bye week. That will be made up in week 11 or week 9 this year potentially. But this really is just such a moment where it's like, oh, you're just waiting for things to happen. I know Matt and I have talked about it in the past. Kind of when the season ends, you're just like itching for the draft to get here. And once the draft is over, you're itching for OTAs, and then those get old, and you're itching for preseason, and that gets old. And then it's just a constant, you're excited for all the things that are going on, but you just can't wait for week 1 to kick off. And I have a little story. I don't know if I've told either of you, and I know our fans don't know it. It won't rival the Josh Freeman story, but I was reminded of it, Scott, when you were talking about rainouts in preseason games. Back when Matt and I were still interns, we had not graduated to beat writer level. We each got one credentialed game in the preseason one year.
Right.
And I think I was there for a Browns game. It was an 8 p.m. kickoff.
Yep.
And I actually did not have a parking pass. So I parked in the gate at One Buck Place.
Right.
Trevor, good friend of the pod, former colleague, Trevor Sycamore, came and picked me up, brought me over. Well, when the rainout happened, it delayed the game an hour.
Yep.
The game ended up finishing very late. We got our work done. Trevor gave me a ride over to One Buck Place, and my car was locked inside.
It was closed.
That's and my car was locked inside. So I told Trevor, you know what? Don't worry about it. Go home. I'm going to call an Uber. I know you live close and I live up in, near the university up in North Tampa. Just go home. I'll call an Uber. And out of the kindness of his heart, he said, no, don't do that. I'm going to give you a ride. He gave me a ride all the way back to Temple Terrace. The next day I had to have my roommate drive me down to One Buck Place, tell security that my car had been locked up, and get it the next day and drive it home.
God bless Trevor.
So that is what preseason football brings us. Great opportunity for the guys at the bottom end of the 53 roster, as Bruce has said so many times, but not always results in great stories for us at Pewter Report.
That's true. The beat side of it can be tough during those preseason games. But hey, you know what? I am honestly, those preseason games are going to be so much fun. There he is.
That's why we love Trevor.
A man of the people,
The
Trevor
legend.
Sikkema.
That's right.
Saving the day. But
Superhero, Trevor Sikkema.
here's my big take on this season, man. And I'm going to be so on this because I don't think anybody's going undefeated. I just don't think it's happening anymore. That's my personal opinion. I just think there's too much.
Games.
There's too much parity in the
too.
league. Then you add the game. The extra game. To me, it's just too much. But if y'all want to talk about going 20-0 or 21-0, whatever it is now, talk about it because you are probably never going to see a chance like this again. And if you lose a game and Saints fans come at y'all on social media, whatever, who cares? Still going to be better than what that sorry team has to offer. So talk about it. If you want to talk about a team going undefeated, I hate when fans are like, oh, I don't want to mention it because I'm afraid I'll jinx them into a loss or jinx them. What you say has nothing to do with what's going to happen in this season.
Unless you're wearing cleats and a helmet, it doesn't matter what you think.
Exactly right. You're a fan. Live it up. Have fun. Talk about going undefeated. This is the best roster in the NFL. It's the best team in the NFL. It's a favorable enough schedule that you can talk about it. Do I think it's going to happen? No. I just think it's way too tough in today's NFL. But go for it, man. Talk about it. Don't be afraid. I feel like with Pittsburgh, they're like, oh, we're going to go 11-0. As soon as they go 11-0, they're like, oh, that's the presence they have. They feel like they can always be that team. And in Tampa Bay, people are kind of learning, I think, now to have that swagger as a fan base. But man, I just think y'all should talk. If y'all want to talk about going undefeated, talk about going undefeated. Don't be afraid to talk about it. The jinx doesn't mean anything. None of that garbage means anything. Talk about it and live it up when you have a roster where that's literally realistic. It's not, I don't think it's going to happen, like I said, but it's as realistic as it'll be with any team that we'll see in recent history or the upcoming league that we'll see in the next couple of years. So people want to talk about it, talk about it.
You mean going for 2, John?
That's what I mean.
Talking about?
Going for 2. Antoine knows, man.
Yeah,
he knows.
He does.
He understands. But that's the kind of opportunity the Bucs have in front of themselves this season. The regular season will present its challenges. Let's just real quick pull up the schedule again if we can, Scott.
Yep,
and I just want to touch real quickly on a couple of the highlights for me. The couple of the circle. Obviously, week 1, I circle that game not only because I want to get off to a hot start, football's back, all that, but I really think if this offense can get going in that game, you get some, even though you have some tough quarterbacks, you get a defensive game, game again, offensively, you should beat Atlanta, but if you can get off to that hot start with all those weapons, I would love to see that. I think picking up where you left off is always a big thing. And so that's a game. I have the New England game, for sure. The Rams game, because Brady played so poorly against them. That was the one game I really felt like he just didn't play well enough in. I know people talk about the second Saints game. I saw there being way more issues than just Brady in that game. I felt like the Rams game where he made a lot of plays that were very uncharacteristic of him. How does he come back? Obviously, different defensive coordinator, but I want to see how he comes back in that game, how he responds in against a team that has a lot of talent. Obviously, Jalen Ramsey, Aaron Donald. That's one. Now I can't see the rest of the schedule, but the Saints, I definitely want to see week 8. It's always there. Saints are a good roster, good team, no matter what. That one's always going to be there for me. I want to see that game. The Giants, I think, could be one of the surprises in the league this year. If Daniel Jones can even play competent football, the rest of that team is really good. So that's one I definitely have marked down. And then Buffalo week 14, man, I think I love that. I love that game. I can't wait to see those two teams play. I hope everybody's healthy for it. That's one I've circled. And then to me, it honestly reminds me a lot of, last year they had the week 12, 13, 14 or whatever, or 11, I guess it was 12, 13. And it was kind of a tougher slate. And then you come out of that stretch. They had the bye then, obviously, but those last 4 games of the season, they were able to get hot. And the first one was Minnesota. And I think New Orleans could be a comparable. And then Carolina, Jets, Carolina, to me, seems a lot like Atlanta, Detroit, Atlanta this past year to finish off the
That's
season.
exactly right. Yeah.
Good chance to get hot going into the playoffs. I love that too. That's my other observation about the schedule.
And I'll say this. I think Carolina's going to get better as the season goes on, though. I think Sam Darnold, if he's going to play well this year in his first season in Carolina, it's going to be late as opposed to early. So
I think he's going to get benched by week 16.
You think so? In favor of who? Who's the bench?
I don't know. I don't even know who they have. They're
committed, man. They didn't draft Justin Fields. They're committed. Here's another observation before we get out of here. Okay, if you look at week 1 in Dallas, it's Thursday night, so you're going to have a week off before you play that game, in between the third preseason game, the final preseason game, and that Thursday night game. Then you're going to have 10 days off before you play Atlanta, right? Then we talked about this tough stretch. You go from Sunday to Sunday to Sunday to Sunday, and 2 of those games are, one's on the West Coast, one's up in the Northeast. And those are 2, interesting opponents. Rams will be a tough game. I think the Patriots with their defense will be tough. Then you come home from Miami. Then on a short week, you have Philadelphia. And that's on the road. And then you've got another 10-day off period, right? Because you've got the short week. Then you've got that extended break. So I think what you're looking at with those 2 Thursday night games early, you kind of get a little bit of a mini bye there, and then in both of those, then you've got the bye week in week 9. Yeah. So I think there's plenty of ample time to rest up during that period of time, and then you just kind of go into week 10 to week 18. That's that's the stretch of games right there that will determine what the fortunes hold for the Buccaneers, whether they are winning the NFC South, whether they are competing for home field advantage in the playoffs. I would be shocked if this team is not a playoff team.
Right. John Catlin with a funny observation. The Bucs have no chance to win the Super Bowl because they can't lose to New Orleans in week 1. Both Super Bowls where we lost to New Orleans in week 1, we are doomed. That's funny. I hope that hopefully losing in week 1 isn't the key, because I'd like to see them win that week 1 game. There's not many teams. You don't want to lose the Cowboys,
Right.
No matter what they do the rest of the year,
you will hear about it.
That's right.
And you will never stop hearing about it.
That's right. Hey, I want you to hear about this. Playbook products, ladies and gentlemen. These are the slate coasters that they have. You've heard me talk about them before. You can see the mug up behind me. There's plays that they have on those mugs. This side of me, sorry. There's plays up on those mugs that they have. It's in great detail. They're beautifully made. They're great products. Go over to playbookproducts.com. Place an order for something. Father's Day, just around the corner. Great time to get a gift. If you do, and you send a copy of your receipt, you're one of the first 5 people that send a copy of your receipt to sr@pewterreport.com. We'll send you a Super Bowl DVD for free.
That's right.
That will be a part of the deal. So just let Scott know. Send him, again, the picture of that receipt, date on everything, so he can confirm when you bought it. But if you can do that over at Playbook Products, buy something over there and then send him. We'll send you the Super Bowl DVD, which, by the way, is awesome. And it'll get you even more pumped up for this upcoming NFL season than the schedule release did. So there you go. Playbook Products. Check them out. Buy some great stuff over there.
And last but not least, since we're in the promo type of mood right now, let me tell you about Briar Greaves Insurance. They're my insurance carrier. Let them be yours too. We're getting ready to hit into hurricane season. It's just summertime, and that's what happens in Florida. It's hurricane season. Last year, there were over 30 named storms. And so you want to make sure that your house is protected against the elements. And certainly if you have a hurricane or tropical storm force winds, they could wreck your house, your roof, etc. And whether it's homeowners insurance or commercial property insurance, Briar Greaves Insurance is the place to go for all of your insurance needs. And you know what? They also do car insurance. They also do life insurance. So make sure you head over to briargreavesinsurance.com for more information about the different types of insurances that they carry in terms of the policies. Sam and Briar will take great care of you. They're very quick and responsive, whether it's by phone or email. Couldn't recommend these folks enough. They're big supporters of not just the Buccaneers, but also proud supporters of the Pewter Report podcast on pewterreport.com. Give them a call, 813-876-4166. That's 813-876-4166, or briargreavesinsurance.com.
Tomorrow on the podcast, ladies and gentlemen, it's going to be a very good time on the podcast tomorrow. We've got John Owning of the Dallas Morning News is coming on to talk Bucs, Cowboys, Week 1, particularly DeMarcus Lawrence versus Tristan Wirfs will be a topic of conversation. It's going to be a great show. John is a dear friend. He's one of the people I trust the most in this biz, not only to tell us all about the Dallas Cowboys and the Tampa Bay Bucs and get ahead on that matchup, but also to talk prospects. He is a big edge defender. He's scouted. He's probably one of the most trusted voices in the field, in my opinion, on scouting edge defenders, especially that position. He is just crazy informed about that position. So I every edge defender taken, that's been my position really when I've been scouting, but I am always talking to him about all my takes. He's going to come on, not only give us his thoughts on that game, he's going to talk to us a lot. John is going to tell us what he saw in Joe Tryon's game and coming out of college and where he sees him needing to improve as he goes to and heads to the NFL level to play for the Bucs this season. So it's going to be great to get his insights. That's tomorrow, 4 p.m. Eastern. John Owning, he's going to be on with me. We're going to break it all down. It's going to be a great show. For everybody that jumped in here to the schedule release show, we appreciate you. We love y'all. Y'all have made this podcast awesome, kept it rocking every time that we're on the air. So we appreciate y'all, and we'll see you again tomorrow in another edition of the Pewter Report podcast. Out.